Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar, where we are going to dive into why AI will revolutionize the way we engage with our partners. We have an amazing panel for you, and we're very excited. But before we start, I'm going to just get started with some housekeeping for you. So we have Channel Focus coming up. So it is right around the corner. It's going to be held in Dana Point, California from October 7th through the 9th, where we will be diving into the AI revolution. So if you like what you hear today, you're going to love what we have planned for Channel Focus. And right now we have a special offer going. So if you book right now, you will save $400 on your registration. You will be getting an email after today's webinar with a link to register, no code required. We hope to see you there. We will also be doing the Channel Focus Awards at Channel Focus this year. We are combining the legacy of the Channel Leadership Awards and the Women's Leadership Council Awards into one big event called the Channel Focus Awards. So nominations end on Monday, and if you know of anybody who deserves to be honored for their work in the industry, please nominate them and come to the gala at Channel Focus. And then without further ado, we have a very special guest moderator today, Carlos Blanco. So with that, I will send it over to you, Carlos.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Welcome. For those of you that were expecting Rod and a wonderful Scottish accent, I'm sorry to disappoint. I'm happy to talk to you in Spanish. It's not nearly as sexy as that Scottish thing he's got going, but we both got the same amount of gray hair, I think, so we're good that way. Rod and I go way back, 30 years or so it's my pleasure to stand in here for him. So without further ado, if my panelists can join and we'll get started. And there are the beautiful people. So I will start off in no particular way by asking one of these folks to introduce themselves, and at the same time as the introduction, kind of give an overview of what they view AI to be, their definition of AI in the channel, and then we're going to get into specific examples. So Anthony, just because you're at the top, you get to go first, man.
All right, I appreciate it, Carlos. By the way, as soon as we're done here, I'm heading to the airport to go to Spain. So you mentioned Spain. I'm headed to San Sebastian. So
Nice.
I am Anthony D'Angelo. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer at Unifier. I lead our go-to-market from sales to marketing, all that good stuff. I've spent my entire career in the channel. So starting off as a channel manager, working on to managing teams, global channel chief, and now leading revenue and go-to-market. So super excited to be here. Thank you. What is AI? AI to me is a really smart thought partner. So that's certainly the way that I use it. It's definitely the way that I kind of look at it, and I think that bleeds into a lot of different things. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Anthony. Appreciate that. Since you're below Anthony, Laura, you can go next.
All right, lucky me. Hi, everyone. I'm Laura Cooling-Brash. I'm a VP of Client Partnership here at Ansira. So I have been working with high-tech clients on their channel programs my entire career. So I've seen literally everything and anything across those programs. So across marketing automation as well as incentives. So when we look at AI, and I think it can mean so many different things across everything, or it can mean everything, actually. But for me, it's a tool that really turns that complexity into clarity. And that could be around a variety of things. And so it's helping us connect with partners in a smarter, easier way. And then once you go down that layer lower, it could be a gamut of things. But just looking at it from the top, that's what it really means to me.
Nice, excellent. Next one down is Harpinder from the great city of Pittsburgh. I'm assuming you're there or not?
Yes, I'm in Pittsburgh. Thanks, Carlos. Hi, everybody. My name is Harpinder Kera, founder CEO of Mind Matrix. So we are in the partner enablement space. From our perspective, the way we look at AI is using now the deep learning models that have been introduced for the last couple of years, that how you can do predictive analytics, generative AI, automation of workflows, and how you can access data using natural language. And when you think about data, that could be structured data and unstructured data. So that's how we look at AI. So in looking at from the partner enablement context perspective, mostly in partner marketing, partner sales enablement, partner enablement, operations. So there are different categories where you can apply these different use cases in the partner enablement space.
Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate that, Harbinder. And last but not least is somebody else who I've known forever and a day is Reagan.
Thanks, Carlos. It's good to see you. I'm Reagan Wilson. I'm the VP of Ecosystem Consulting and Solutions and Innovation at SpurApply, where I lead our platform alliances, relationships, and we really drive strategy for ecosystem automation and optimization. And I love AI. Reply as a company is really circled around AI, and we built tons of it from a reply standpoint. But when I think of AI, I think of all the things that are helping me optimize, streamline things. It helps me make smarter decisions. It helps me write better emails and really think through things. And I'm leveraging it to do the things that I used to roll my sleeves up, as my friend Amy said to me last week, but we used to roll our sleeves up to just get things done. And I'm trying to leverage AI to help me do a lot of those manual things today. And we're seeing that with our customers as well. So I'm excited about talking about this topic today with everybody.
Excellent. Like every time I ask my wife something, she goes, wait a minute, let me talk to Copilot. I feel it. So, you know, the challenge with these things is that a lot of times when we do these webinars, we don't get into the details, and I really want to get into the details. And I think what a lot of people want to know is, how are my competitors, how are my peers using it today to better their business? So I really want to focus on that. So I'd love for each one of you to kind of feed off of each other and talk about some real concrete examples of how your customers are using it. So I'll start with you, Laura. What are you seeing in your customer base?
Yeah, no, I love it. And I like some tangible nuggets that you can take back and apply to things. So one of the key things, and as we had our prep session and I was thinking about this, what is one of those biggest opportunities that AI can really help support? And the predictive insights, which Harbinder, you talked about in your opening, AI is really helping to unlock that and bring that to the fingertips of partners, and then also your field teams, like your PAMs, your PMMs, whatever you want to call them. And so when I say predictive insights, it's really more so around like the incentive space that I've been seeing it with clients. And so instead of partners guessing what they're going to earn the quarter or whatever rebate cycle it is, the AI is helping them take that guesswork out of it. And I feel like this is a trend across like the large companies, those large vendors, that they're putting these simulators, predictors, dashboards, whatever out there for their partners. And to give you some tangible nuggets, which we'll kind of keep on weaving through, is you're like, okay, great, that's a rebate simulator, we'll call it. But what does that do? So allowing partners to do what if scenarios. So if it's the middle of the year or quarter, based on projected sales or their deals that they've registered, where could they potentially end up from an earnings potential? Looking at different variable changes. So if I get this certification, could I unlock more incentives? If I go up a tier or down a tier, whatever that may be, and what does that look like for my partner organization? And then being able to do those side-by-side comparisons in an easy to view interface. So taking away manual spreadsheets, calculation, like Reagan, what you said, really rolling up those sleeves. They don't have to roll up their sleeves. They just need to click some buttons. And then that AI in the background is doing all that work for them. And I see it as a way to give that confidence to those partners so that they can go out and really drive that revenue. So I think one of the main things that I see AI helping is that predictive insights.
And I'm assuming self-service, right?
Oh, of course. You can't. You
Talk
gotta have it.
Talk to no humans. We'll talk about avatars in a little bit.
Exactly. We had a whole lively discussion about avatars. Maybe we could have the avatars run the dashboards for the people.
How does that compare, contrast to what you're seeing, Reagan?
Well, I'll pivot off of that. I love that, Laura. I can just imagine a world in which a partner sits down and they can run a simulation across all of their vendors and see where they could potentially make the most money or where they should focus in. So it's not just, what can they do with with vendor A, but what could they do across the portfolio that
Yeah.
they're working on? So I love that idea. But I'm going to pivot and take it towards the content side of the house. I mean, historically, I mean, I'm like Anthony, I'm a product of the channel. I've been in channel my entire career. I remember walking in to partner companies and seeing their certifications on the wall. But one of the challenges that we've always had in the channel is partnerizing content, whether that's marketing content or enablement content, you name it, localized content. It's always been kind of the Achilles heel of channel. And AI has now changed the game there. And if you're not leveraging AI for personalized content, partnerized content, whether it's sales, marketing, enablement, you name it, you're missing the boat. Because now more than ever, there's no excuse to just port over the enablement from your generic sales team and drop it in your partner tech stack. You can't do that, and you shouldn't be. You've got plenty of tools that can help you put it in the language that the partners need and get it condensed down to something that will actually provide the partners the things that they need. Because the reason that they're partnering with you is that they're specialized and they bring more to the table than potentially your direct sales team. And they have these solutions that they're bringing to the table. So what can you do from a content standpoint to really make sure that your partners are enabled from a sales and marketing standpoint and a technical standpoint in a much quicker fashion, whether that's in local language or, whatever it needs to be. And there's no excuse now. If you're not doing it, you're missing the boat, and you need to take a few steps back, get a content schedule built out, and really move towards that. So I would just say content, all things content. No
Content is king, as they say, right?
Yeah, Reagan, I mean, I completely agree. I think that is almost like table stakes right now, where if there's one place you should invest in AI, it's just getting content more personalized, faster out there. Completely agree. And there's a lot of great solutions that have that AI.
It's not expensive, and it's so meaningful. And we all know that this has been a problem and a challenge, and there's always been the excuse, and you don't have the excuse anymore.
Yeah,
And
you don't have to
if
get
you're
fancy.
if you're still living in the past, which I hope you're not, your competitors are running circles around you because they're on it.
I've got a unique kind of perspective looking through the lens of the technology stack, right? So, Unifier has a partner relationship management platform that's meant to kind of bring all of these things in to help orchestrate all of that complexity that everybody's kind of dealing with. And I think it kind of being in everybody's shoes right now, it's overwhelming, right? Every tech that you work with right now is going to have some AI in it. And so the natural thing is a bot. Tell me about this, and it tells you about that, or help me make content. But you're right, like it really does come down to seeing all of the signals, right? And being able to be predictive about that. But it's also about autonomous, right? So we want to simulate, yes, we want it to answer. So that's why I kind of talked about it in terms of kind of my partner in crime, really, right? It's going to help me see some of that stuff. For us, we've embedded that AI technology across the PRM. That way you can see what's happening across your channel marketing, across your channel sales, across your operations. Like that's a really good example. And I think if I were in everybody's shoes, kind of being a channel professional right now, I'd be really thoughtful about the ways that I could use this, right? I mean, yes, we want to build content, but you want to build content within the confines of your brand, your message, right? You don't want that leaking out. So it's got to be secure. It's got to be isolated. So we're all dealing with what is a really heavy topic, but obviously a super exciting one.
And Anthony, to add on to that, you have to segment that content. So cool, you created all this content. The last thing you want to do is just slap it out there for everybody. The biggest thing is that personalization piece of making sure that the right content is being served up at the right time to the right audience, and it's not just dumped out there for the world, because that is really the critical component that fine tunes it and makes sure that the AI agent that's sitting on top of it is only serving up the content that is aligned to the audience that you have it segmented out to.
So let me add something quick here. From our perspective, I agree 100% with Reagan and Anthony and Laura, you guys are talking about. So, one of the important things when Rod came to me, they said, hey, we have this webinar. And he said, try to talk about something more actionable, something that makes sense, something that people can walk away from this webinar and say, hey, what can we do today? Now, one thing that I would say, this is like my sixth webinar on this topic over the year and a half. Whatever we're discussing as a panel, a lot of the stuff is actually available today. It's actually available, either Anthony's company, my company, other people, we're all providing stuff today. So I think the first thing that I will urge is go back to your portal provider, go back to your IT and say, hey, we have heard about these use cases. It's available out there. What can we do to make that happen? Okay. So obviously there are a lot of things from an IT perspective, security, data, governance, they'll come back to you about it. But that is something that we as partner companies that provide this, we have already thought about data governance and security and control in place. So I just wanted to mention that before I talk about some of the use cases where we see. So from MindMatrix perspective, we're looking at three major buckets. One is the inside use where the CAMs and the PAMs, the tools that they will have to enable to get insight on the partners, how they can communicate with partners, all that insight from a CAM PAM enablement perspective. That's the inside sales enablement use cases. And then you have, from a partner perspective, how they're interacting with you, having them access to help and help chat or PAM chat, where they can get access to about your programs, the content and the tools. And then also they have access to all the generative content that they can use, email and everything else. Then you have a third category that you're enabling partners to interact with their customers. So the three buckets. So giving them the tools that how they can leverage AI from that point of view. Now, another big area where the AI is really changing the paradigm here, and this has been a classic problem with all the portal technology, and we have heard that, hey, nobody comes to the portals nowadays. How do you drive engagement with the portals? AI solves that problem. How? Because with AI allows you to bring tools and resources to the partner. As an example, a partner can register a deal via Slack or via email. Right from your Outlook, you can send an email, referral lead at xyzcompany.com, and AI can register a deal for you. Same thing as Slack. You can request content access. So the portal becomes where you want to have solid governance. You want to make sure they can see the dashboard reporting, where you don't want to kind of make it available in the email world, but you have a lot of control now. So this technology solves the problem that we all been facing. For the last 28 years I've been in this business, we've all been talking about it. And that is something I wanted to bring to your audience, that this is available today. So.
And it's a refreshed opportunity. I like what you said. We've relied on kind of portals and all of the channel stack. We've relied on the users, the partners themselves, to drive it, where this gives us the opportunity to push value out, to push value down, to deliver tech that helps them see their customers, identify signals, sell more, sell faster. All of that. That's the stuff that I find super exciting. So if I'm in the shoes of somebody right now who's running a channel or, channel sales or channel marketing, I'm really looking at what is my fundamental goal. My goal is to reach more customers, to empower my partners to do that, to get my brand out, all of those things. You're right, Harvinder, this gives us a lot more to push out to the partners instead of just collecting their clicks and then running a report on that. I think this gives us the opportunity to really get true insights, figure out what's working, but more importantly, if it's done right and it's done purposefully, it can execute on your behalf. And that's where, that's where the agentic stuff starts to come. And, we're seeing customers use that now where it's always working, right? It's not just they show up at 8:30 or 9 o'clock, it's always working. And I think that's pretty powerful as well.
Well, and that was the, that was the portal tagline, years ago, was it's always there, right? It's always available, it's self-serve. And now if you flip the script and you look at the agent, they're always there, they're always on. And there was a question in the chat about, what are our thoughts about the engagement with agents and partners? And as I think about it, I think there's an evolution. It's not just a bot. The chat bot has been available for a really long time. It's the true agentic piece that I would say can even function at a level that a human, like a camera Pam can't, because the agent can look across all of the data that's available, all of the content, all of the campaigns, and it can return suggestions that, if me as the partner account manager, if I don't know that a campaign is available, I can't recommend that campaign to a partner. So imagine a world in which the partner is going into the tech stack, that's what we're going to call it, and they're saying, okay, hey, I've got these, look at my opportunities, right? Because it has access to the data for me. Look at my opportunities, look at my leads, tell me what campaigns I should or promotions I should be aware of that align with what I've got going on. And then imagine that agent saying, oh, actually, these two promotions align with the opportunities. You should tell so-and-so over at company A about this promotion and so-and-so over at company B, C, and D about this promotion. And they're available through the end of the month. Like, those are the types of things that the agentic AI will be able to do if you're providing it the overlay of the proper data. That a channel account manager, it would take them a lot longer to come up to speed on the alignment of that on a per partner basis. And then think about applying that through the long tail, because that's, those unmanaged partners are the ones that are really going to see a huge advantage here.
That's a big one. Reagan, that was the first agent we deployed, right? Was really around, figuring out which campaigns. The second one was really saying, kind of a deal agent that lets you, helps you kind of, identify, hey, if you're selling this other thing you should sell. We need to also figure out how we could, work that in so that we point them to, our partners as well. Hey, we've seen other partners be successful with this campaign. They worked with Spur and they did, X, Y, and Z. That's the kind of activity. And so, some of that stuff's already out there, already working. But you're right, like that's a really, really good use case.
It just goes to, it has to be able to look at only the right data. It's all about the governance piece is really the critical piece, because when you start to layer an agent on top of hundreds or thousands of partners, their data, your data, campaigns, regional offers, things that only apply to specific groups of people, it isn't going to be well used if it produces a campaign or a promotion that's not in the region for the partner, or it's giving bad information. So the governance piece of that agent and the access that it has against the partner that's making the ask is really the critical piece. And that's the hardest bit of it. But these things are real. And I mean, the other piece is training the partners and letting them know that this is real and that they can make those asks, and training up our own muscles to go to AI. I know I'm guilty of it. I have access to plenty of it. And there's so many manual things that I do on a daily basis that I forget, like, Reagan, go ask Copilot to do this for you. It will do it while you do something else. And it's training that into people. And that will be the shift that we have as leaders, is helping our internal teams come along, helping partners understand and come along, but getting them to actually use the tools that we give them. Because it's great if we give them to them, but if they're not using it, just like the portals of the past, it doesn't really matter if we have them.
It's a revolution to the same problem, from spreadsheets to automation. Like, it keeps going. Sorry,
Yes.
No, there's a lot of comments about garbage in, data in. It's all about data issue. So one of the things that we're seeing here is, and if you remember 10, 15 years ago, it's a rise of sales enablement tools. We see a lot of companies came out. And if you don't have a sales enablement manager that's making sure what goes into the drive or where you're tagging your documents and assets, after a while, sales guys stop using that stuff and start using your own PowerPoint. We have the exact same problem with AI. Okay. And so there is a rise of this category where Mind Matrix, we're looking at how we can train people to become AI administrators. Okay. And the job of an AI administrator is that how do you ensure it's a multifaceted job description. First is you got to know the prompt and context engineering. That is how, but the most important thing is how the data is managed. Looking at the responses coming from people, are people getting the right data or not the right data? And so that is one of the most important thing, ensuring the data that has been trained or lack of data, that you're on top of that. Because and I was looking at the report that came from MIT 2 days ago. One of the biggest reason why the agentic solutions are failing is mostly it has come down to not the technology issue, it's the people issue. People start losing trust, or people actually, it's not about the trust. People just don't want to change management.
Yeah.
That is number one reason why AI systems are failing is change management. And people are trying to find ways that something, oh, this didn't work. It didn't give me the right answer. So I'm going to stop using it. So in order to ensure that, you gotta have an administrator watching the stuff in the back end that see what is coming, what is going out, and who's accessing, who's not accessing, what people are saying about the content or the resources, the people trying to access.
Yeah,
That's
surprise,
critical.
surprise.
Harbinger.
We still have to do our jobs. It won't do all of it. We still need to test the assets, make sure that it's right, you know, and so on.
Well,
So that
I
is
don't
one
want to
area that we're training people. It says, and then the consumption of the LLMs, the pricing, it's not cheap. The token and the context and, what model to use, because every day they have new models coming up. What model is good for the business? And what model is, say, a multimodal technology, and it's based on the use cases. So people who have good understanding in the back end. So that is a new category, because rise of least, AI administrators, that's the most important thing. So I want you to, so that's one of the important areas when you deploy these agentic solutions, AI solutions, keep that in mind. You need somebody in the back end who's keeping tab of that. So just wanted to add to that.
Well, I mean, if you guys have ever compared Perplexity to ChatGPT to Copilot, you type in the same exact question and you get 3 different answers, and sometimes contradictory to each other, right? So to your point, and I'm seeing it, the data governance is probably the biggest piece of all. I kind of want to shift topics. I want to ask you, Laura, are you seeing your customers approaching this from a cost saving standpoint? If I can do this, I don't need to hire CAMs, or I can get rid of CAMs. Or are you seeing it from a driving revenue standpoint and a creativity standpoint?
Probably gonna hate this answer, but both. So like, why? No, I really see it for both, and it obviously depends on what area you're looking at. So when we look at like content, where we were talking earlier, that's really cost savings, because you look at localization. You have one piece of content. If you're global, you got to localize it by X languages. That's a lot of money to have a localization team doing that. So adding AI to have cost savings there. And then those agents, Reagan, like what you're saying, kind of helping, I don't want to say take the place of a PM or a PMM, but make those conversations more robust and easier for a PMM to manage those partners. And so that's really where I see them focusing AI to on a cost savings measure. But then when you look at driving revenue, like I was saying with the predictive insights, so that's going to be an investment. Those types of dashboards are going to probably take some kind of customization based on your business needs, your setup, all of that. But the end goal is you're going to get way more revenue, because those partners are going to really see what's going to drive the needle. And so it's that balance there that my clients are really looking at. Where can I see an ROI? They're going to really hone in on applying AI, and then also find some of that low-hanging fruit that maybe can be offboarded pretty easy to some AI functionality.
And Harbinder, because you touched on it, the change is always great as long as it doesn't affect me, right? Like change is good for everybody else. And channel partners are notorious of selling technology but not actually using it for their business. I mean, they have a long history of that. Are you seeing the take up in the partner community, or it's another one of those cases where I'm fine with my spreadsheet?
No, so we work with a lot of resellers and MSPs at the local level, as a company. So we work with at the top with the brands. And so especially the certain use cases, sales and marketing, so when you look at the AI use cases, there's certain cases where you're destructing the data, and one is you're creating some new content. Okay. The creation piece where I'm seeing the MSPs or the partners are more open to and using it more for using vendor content and your brand and your internal content, blending these two and creating your own personalized messaging. There's a lot of stuff that these partners at the local level started to adopt sales and marketing AI-based tools. 100%.
Okay.
Okay. Now, so that's really what we see here is now coming back to the question from productivity gain and, so I agree with Laura's both 100%. And, we have a North Star that I'm running at the Mind Matrix front side and that's my prediction. And we're developing tools in months to come that we should be able to run an entire business, all the different functions within a business that could be ticketing to onboarding to sales, pre-sales, post-sales, customer service, any business function that you can use AI end to end to run your business. And that requires, so that's where the technology today exists and is getting better day by day. So we are developing frameworks that can show you productivity gain, cost saving, and depending upon the use case across the board. But that's really where, and if you see a lot of the companies in the AI space run by fewer people and look at the valuation, you only need 10, 20 smart individuals that can literally run your company. So that is really where the market is heading. So not today, 6 months, a year from now, you're going to see that.
Carlos, we've got some specific use cases that I think are relevant. If it's okay to share, I don't want to throw you off, but intent and purpose is really kind of at the cornerstone, right? If I'm advising somebody right now, everything's going to have AI. The question is, what's your intent? What's your purpose? How do you prioritize? So I'm able to look at it through the lens of customers that are already using our tech stack. So admittedly, that's the lens I'm looking at. And so we are able to push this technology out in a controlled way. So where we have folks that are already using a few different things, and there's a few different use cases. Yes, they use more of a chat style thing, but here's where it comes to bear. If I'm a salesperson or a channel manager and I'm on a call and I'm talking real time about something, I can be asking in natural language questions, through the Unifier portal anyway, and I'm sure there's others. I can be asking questions real time instead of saying, I have to call you back, right? I can do that on a call. So at its most basic level, yes, it's questions and answers, but it's questions and answer with purpose, and with an outcome in mind. Yes, we can customize marketing, co-marketing materials, and we can do that really well. And the nice thing about that is you're keeping them within a system and you're controlling your brand. To Harvinder's point, you still have to do all of the other things and make sure that they have access. But if you're a big brand, you don't want somebody just going out to ChatGPT, creating their own marketing material, and now that's out there forever. So that's another, clear use case that we have. But making that conversational and immediate, and more importantly, making it, autonomous, is important. And then, the kind of the coup de grace really is, can this thing act on my behalf? Can it really, bring something to the table that allows it? It's seeing everything, right? If it's within the confines, it's seeing everything. It's the evolution of where we were. It was spreadsheets that we had to try to connect, and then it's newer technology that does the same thing with automation. Now it's seeing everything, and it can have that agentic knowledge that you control, that really starts to say, if these two things are true, then this other thing, next best actions, things like that. And our biggest customers, like AWS, where we have a partnership, like a co-partnership with them right now, we're all built on that. We're working with them to solve these problems internally for them. But the output of the partnership is going to be lots of new technology that I think will be relevant, to the audience here. So it's about kind of being purposeful and thoughtful. It doesn't replace, but it definitely can enhance the value and drive better outcomes for sure.
So can I talk about 3 use cases that people can walk away and implement right away? Where you can see economic benefit. Please do email-based deal reg or Slack-based deal reg. Make that available because you'll see an uptick in your deal reg because that equates to more opportunities and closure. That's a revenue uptick. So making it easier to partners to submit deals, please do that right away. Number 1. Number 2, implement a bot in your portal. If you have it, enable it. Talk to your provider. Make sure that partners can have access to all the data so that it's make it more scalable. As Anthony talked about, you don't have PAMs and CAMs available at all times to the partners. Make sure they have access to the data. Number 3, make sure the partners have all the partner marketing tools, generative. They can create content at scale, language based on their own brand and the vendor content, so they can reach out to the partners, helping in email, social, to help them amplify your brand in the local market. So those are 3 areas that you can walk away and get that implemented right away. And then obviously, if you're looking from a CAM/PAM and enablement perspective, absolutely, there are a lot of tools available. They can get access to the insight, the predictive analytics. And so if you just focus on these 3, 4, you're golden. In my books, that's really what I see that you should start implementing right away.
So does anybody see, I mean, for me personally, the value of AI is the decision making without me being present, right? That's where the productivity gains will come in and GDP will go through the roof, et cetera, right? Are you seeing that today? I mean, are companies proactively thinking of how do I augment that human with somebody else that could do part of their work so they can be more productive in another way?
Well, absolutely. And the humans are being asked the question, what are you doing with the rest of your time? Right? Because we're giving you the tools, we're enabling you with AI so that you can optimize your day. So we expect a higher level of productivity out of you as a result of those other elements helping you. And that's the tricky part for the folks that to the point made earlier, that are a little adverse to picking up on the new technology, or it didn't work for me, or they have all the excuses of like, I can just do it better. If you don't pivot towards it, the expectation is going to keep growing and growing, and you won't be able to pace it because you'll be so far behind, because everyone who has embraced it and has learned it quicker than you is going to be more efficient than whatever you can do. And I see this in just my own daily life. I've built myself several agents that help me do daily tasks that I mean, normally I would have to manually find, and I just ask my agent to do it. It goes and does it. I'm doing something else, brings me back the result. I leverage that. And I think that's going to be the difference. If someone said to me a couple of weeks ago at an event, it's not that AI is going to take your job, it's that AI is going to take the jobs of people who aren't using AI. And I truly believe that. I think if you're not harnessing it, and maybe there's some use cases where it doesn't make sense, but I think for all intents and purposes, for those of us on this call, there's absolutely many use cases where you can plug it in to help you optimize your day. And that goes for your teams, that goes for your marketers, that goes for your partners. And we all have to be thinking about it, because we're going to be asked to do more in our human capabilities, because we're going to be relying on those systematical pieces to do the systematical pieces for us.
I noticed a question from Pablo around kind of what do we think the value can be done by vendors, from the partner's perspective. All of this is about reach more, convert more, sell more, right? And we're now we're in a good spot where we've kind of exhausted, without AI, we've kind of exhausted the use case, let's just say, of just having a central repository. But now we can start pushing value out. We can share those signals with a partner. So let's just say, for example, kind of when we're looking at, the value that we're trying to drive, and that is, hey, look across your ecosystem, not just with that partner, look across your ecosystem. 80% of the time, if they sell this, they sell that, right? And now if that's an automated, if that's a, something that you're capturing, it's predictive, you can inform your partners about that. You all benefit, right? I look at it from a kind of connected growth, connected success. We're all connected. That's why it's an ecosystem. So we all benefit from it, but that's a really good example of a vendor, pushing value with AI down to their partners. Show them, right? Cross signal what works, what are benchmarks, what is successful. It's what we're all trying to do. What works, we want to do more of that. What doesn't, we don't want to do as much of that. And then prove it, right? And then give me a proof point that shows this is what works. It showed up in the revenue, and I've got attribution for it. So, when I think of kind of vendor pushing value out, that's just one example of how this can impact a partner.
And I think
see.
on that note, obviously that's what we want partners to do, really drive that revenue and go find, potential customers to go after and what that makes sense. But even kind of taking it back to more of a simplistic level, I look at AI to really help those administrative tasks that are necessary and so painful and annoying to do. But you have to, as a partner, from a compliance, controls, governance standpoint. So when we look at things like Harbinder, you mentioned the deal reg, making that form filling out an easier process. Great. Making an MDF claim process, getting that money easier, less time consuming. Using AI, one thing that we are doing as we're an AI first company is looking at how do we, if you have just a claiming process for MDF, extract data from any documents to fill out that form and make that claiming reimbursement process easier. When you look at approvals from your program managers, PAMs, finance, whatever that may be, how do you accelerate that approval process? How do you use AI to go, all right, steps 1 through 3 can be auto approved because this request meets XYZ criteria? And while it's boring and not exciting and not seemingly driving the revenue, but by correlation it is, because partners can spend less time clicking around and more time, selling and be strategic there. So that's really, I see as kind of some basic stuff you could put in place to make a world of difference for partners so they don't have to be in admin hell.
Well, and on the opposite side of that, make the same elements for your teams.
Yeah,
right? Because
exactly.
you then have to review those claims as they come in. So you set up the agents to review steps 1, 2, and 3 and look for validations against a certain set of criteria. It's not hard to build an agent to do that. And then it flags the ones that need, personal review. But someone asked the question to me, like, what are the examples of the tasks I've automated? This one's the bane of my existence. NDAs and MSAs. I hate them, but they require review. So I built an agent that reviews MSAs and NDAs against a set of criteria. And then it flags any areas that I need to look at. And if I need to look at it, I'll look at it. If not, I can just go ahead and sign it. So those are things that help me get through things that again, it was like, gotta roll up my sleeves and I gotta read this line by line. Well, those days are gone. And so any of those tasks, like to Laura's point, that you might be able to say like, hey, I have a set criteria. I do this on a regular basis. You build an agent to look for that criteria. And then you say, here's an NDA, run it against my NDA criteria, run it against my MSA criteria, and tell me what I need to look at. That's just one example. But I love the approval process because you could automate some of those steps with checks and balances and have it flag it when it's necessary. And it's little tweaks like that that are so effective.
So I think, Laura, you talked about unstructured data that comes through invoices and claims. So this is great. Another use case for fraud detection. So
I'm
basically,
glad I teed it up for you, Harbinder.
No, we have built a tool that does the fraud analysis and detection based on what's in the documents. But coming back to the, thinking about the unstructured data, this is really one of the value areas for the vendors is partner recruiting. Okay. There's so much of data, unstructured data about the partner sits on LinkedIn, on their websites. How do you harness that unstructured data and use that data to create hyper-personalized experiences for your partners. On LinkedIn, you know what partners are selling. On their website, they may be saying, hey, well, I'm selling on healthcare and manufacturing. But on LinkedIn, for the last 6 months, they've been pushing their product to high tech. They know which product they're pushing to high tech. You can actually, with AI, read what they're sending, posting on LinkedIn. You can see what they're saying on their website. You can create automated partner profile at scale. Now, that is a great insight for CAMs. They know exactly who's where and what they're trying to do. And also use that data to create hyper-personalized experience within the portal. So for example, if I'm pitching to high tech on LinkedIn, when they log in into the portal, everything is configured for high tech. I can see my high tech campaign. I can see the MDF camp setup that your team has set up, Laura, for high tech. So now I'm really speaking to them. That is the wonder of AI, and this technology is available today. These are
Yeah, and I
simple
think-
things that you can put in place. Go ahead,
And
Laura.
I think on that, and where you kind of take it to the next level, is think of how that experience is that you have as a consumer in your personal life. Like every website you go, like my phone knows who I am. Like I swear Apple is listening to me all the time. And I think what AI is able to do is kind of take some of those experiences that we have from a consumer standpoint and apply them to the partner space. So to your point, Harbinder, like being able to know what the partner is communicating about and how do you tie and stitch all that data together. I think that's giving vendors more tools within their toolbox to really improve that partner experience and make it easier for them to work together.
It's impossible to see all of that, right? No matter how good we want to think we are, you just can't see the signals through all of that noise. So, leveraging, it's what tech is meant to do, right? This is the evolution of workflow, right? Which we're kind of talking about, kind of workflow and automating workflow to kind of taking it to the next level and augmenting. That's why I kind of look at it as a partner in crime.
Yeah.
Let it tell you the next best action, right? That's the thing that we're working on right now, is what's the next best action that's customized and personalized to that person. For everybody out there, everything in your tech stack, they're going to come at you and say, we've got AI and stuff like that. If I think of what practicality things you could be doing now, it really has to do with understanding, what that really means. Is it bolt-on or is it embedded, right? If it's not embedded and it's not kind of fundamental to the architecture, it's just an extra thing, right? And you're not going to be able to govern it, and you're not going to be able to secure it. So it's got to be elegant, whether that's your CRM or some other part of your tech stack. It's really important that you understand that you're doing it not just to do it, but that it is fundamental, it is architected well. It's not just some, software development project that's out there and they just said, hey, we're attaching this on there and it's just ChatGPT in the background. Like that type of stuff, those are things that you can go to your tech stack, especially anybody in it, and really challenge some of those things so that you get what you need.
So one thing that I want to say here is you guys have heard a lot of stuff, a lot of good ideas, a lot of news. So the technology exists. And that's number one. But where do you go from here? My recommendation is, and I can tell you because a lot of our customers and prospects, where things are stalled from an AI perspective, it's not like we don't have the technology, is that internal AI security team has to sign off on it. Okay, that's where things are stalling. So I would say if you're thinking about some of the stuff, number one, talk to your AI security team, make sure they can sign off on it. Any vendor you want to work with, make sure they can give you proper, audit, how they're managing the data, the governance and control, security process, whatever they need to make sure that your data will be protected, and also separation between your partner data, your data, and individual data. Everything is protected. So that means one partner cannot access any other partner's data via an agent. Everything is sealed. So I want to make sure that you start that process. Make sure you vet the company, and then make sure your AI team signs off on it, AI technology team. After that, that is one of the biggest hurdles. Everything else that you hear, It's doable. People are doing it. We're doing it. Anthony's doing it. Laura's doing it. Reagan is helping companies do it. So we're all doing it. It's the question is, make sure you guys are ready, and then also make sure your data is ready. And that's something Reagan's team can come and look at it, what the unstructured data looks like, what is the structured data looks like, is it normalized, is it AI ready? If it's not AI ready, let us help you make AI ready. That's it. That's really, I want you guys to walk away from it.
I think that's a
Along those
great
lines,
point.
guys, what are the tools out there today to help with data governance and data isolation and all that stuff? I mean, I'm talking about off the shelf stuff.
I mean, I
I
think
can
as
answer.
you look at your tech stack, I mean, I think both Harbinder and I are kind of saying the same thing. I mean, whether it's your CRM and they're saying we've got AI, or it's something else that they're using AI, it's incumbent on you to challenge them and their architecture, because, you know, a Harbinger may know something that you could run against all of these things, but it's really incumbent. Like, these are important questions. Is it secure? Is it isolated? You know, you want to make sure that there's no leakage. Is it on a technology that, you know, that is defendable and makes sense? Does it have the compliance, GDPR, and security and otherwise? Like, those things are really, really important as you start having some of those questions. You still got to figure out what you need and how you're going to use it. But you know, I like what Harbinder said. Like, you really, whether it's one tech or another, you've got to check and ensure that architecture is delivering you exactly the governance that you want.
Well, and I
And-
think
Go
to
ahead,
that
go ahead.
point, we know that there's a lot of things that can be done, and we know that there's roadblocks into getting it done, because we don't just get to make a decision, spend money, and implement these types of things. So what I would challenge you all to do is go look at what you have access to. So many of your organizations are going to have access to different LLMs or agent models that you can take advantage of today. So look at your current span of control, which is obviously you, and then whoever works for you. What do you have access to today that you might be able to leverage to optimize, you know, any area that you're working in today? And start here, and then expand that out. See how you can then take what you have access to. So for example, we have Copilot. I have Copilot Studio. I can build my own agents. I build agents. I pass them out to my team. I say, here's this, you can use these things. And then I'm spanning that out. Then it becomes like, is there something I can do that I can build within my span of control that I can leverage for my partners? And so start with what you have access to while those other bigger projects are happening, because those things will take time. I mean, we're just on the cusp of this. And, you know, while some of the really big enterprise companies are doing it really well because they have the technology themselves, not all of us can get there. I mean, it's just a reality. But what we can control is what our days look like, and we can optimize those to the nth degree. So my challenge would be, look at what you have access to, leverage it today, and start to get your teams to build the muscle, because it takes a lot of reps, and I'm speaking from experience, to get that into your daily life, and not just to be going back to what we've always done, which is rolling up our sleeves and just getting to work on those things. Where can you plug it in?
And just to piggyback on that, I think looking at your current vendors, your trusted vendors that you have, and their platforms and their tech today, I can speak from experience going through many security reviews for clients. They are robust. So if you have trusted technology stack today that have already gone through the ringers for you from a security standpoint, a data governance standpoint, that's a really great starting point to then go, hey, Mr. Supplier, like, what AI do you have? And then kind of kick the tires of that AI that you could potentially light up that hasn't maybe been lit up already. So I think really starting with what you have today that's been proven and trusted, and kind of go through the process a little faster on your security team review is a good starting point as well.
Love that.
So with 3 minutes left, words of wisdom, parting nuggets of knowledge, Harbinder. I mean, you shared a lot, but I'm sure you got some more.
I got a lot more, but but I think I agree with what Reagan and Laura and Anthony, we all talked about. I think it really comes down to the game of data. Okay,
Yeah,
that's really the foundation. And so data, and you have two types of data: structured data and unstructured data. So where the data sits, if the data sits in CRM, if the data sits in a PRM or a combination of both, that's where the data resides for partner enablement or partner portal. Start your journey from there. Talk to your tech stack companies that are actually providing the technology and say, hey guys, tell us everything you guys do for partner enablement, partner marketing, CAM, and just give us, from incentive enablement, whatever you guys do, give us a laundry list of things and start mapping to the outcomes because they're the one controlling the data. Look at the outcomes because you don't want to go with all the 10 use cases, pick 3, pick 2, and that has more meaningful outcomes and say, we're going to focus on those 2. And as change management is tough. Okay. Having something like Reagan's point, not everybody using, even if Reagan uses it, not her team members use it, that is going to be, then it's a training, guys. This is how you got to use it. You got to trust it. And then is the overall governance, how is making sure that what goes into the system is correct. Who's managing that? So once you put this process in place, then you got to measure it. So start with a couple of use cases, talk to your tech, get the use cases, and roll it out.
Anthony?
Yeah, look, I think it comes down to what are you doing in your personal life, and then what are you doing to make you better at work, and those have kind of different paths. Definitely kind of that change management starts with us, right? You start using it in your everyday life, you'll start to see those connections of where they might be able to help you. But the biggest thing I would say is just be thoughtful and purposeful. What is the job I'm trying to do, and what is the path? And how does this accelerate it, right? Tech does that. Old tech did it in one way, it matured, it did it in another. This is just a new frontier for all of us. It still requires rigor and purpose and intent on how we might want to execute about that, but prioritize and definitely, I think, challenge your tech providers to go beyond just the marketing fluff. Like, what does that architecture look like? What is that security? Stuff like that. But all of those things will, and we'll be talking about new things in 6 months.
Yeah. Laura?
Yeah, I think really where I look at it is can AI take that friction out of the process for partners? And I think the starting point is to figure out those 2 to 3 major pain points for partners working within your program, doing a survey, a poll, whatever that may be, and try to tackle those. How do you make those really easier for those partners, and starting small so you can have some wins and then building upon that?
Excellent.
Reagan?
Well, I think I'll wrap it up with the data. We work with a lot of you, and we know your data is in a bad place. So take a couple of steps back and think about your maturity level and your readiness level to execute on these things and start to get yourselves ready. So clean up the data, get your partner information up to date and nice and clean as you prepare for those 2 or 3 use cases that Harbinder and Laura mentioned, and make sure that you can actualize them, because we start going down the path with a lot of customers and we get 3 steps down the path and realize there's a blocker, and it's something that was self-caused. So if there's things you can do to get yourselves ready to do these things, like start with that so that when you can pull the trigger, you can run.
Well, thank you all. Really appreciate it. Wonderful insights as always. As I was sitting here thinking about my original comment, I was going to write an agent to let me speak in Scottish. But since I have no idea even what an agent is and where to go, I'm going to take that as my homework, and I'll send it out to everybody and show that I can actually speak like Rod, because it's possible.
That is a useful tool.
Right?
Your challenge for the next panel, Carlos.
Thank you all. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you
you.
for you guys. It's always a pleasure to reconnect with everyone. Take care.
Thank
See
you.
you.
Bye-bye.